And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Shootin the Breeze podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Hayes. As always, my adorable co-host, Ashton Johnson. Say hey, Ashton.
Hey, how y'all doing?
And with us tonight, we have George. Go ahead.
Go ahead, do it.
I've been calling you the wrong name the whole time.
That's okay. I didn't want to correct you and make you look dumb, you know?
Yeah, I know you just do it and be dumb. Yeah, so George is... Somebody just get smoked?
Shots out, bro.
Nice. All right, so let's go into our talking points. Introduce our guest. All right, you're George. We got that. How did we meet?
Facebook.
Face page. Yep.
I mean, reality, it was Facebook, but as far as actually meeting face to face, we had a beautiful date at Applebee's.
It was at the Applebee's.
Yeah, in the middle of North Carolina, BFE.
Yep. Yeah. So you were here for some training, and I said, "Oh, you're in North Carolina. Let's meet up."
Yeah.
And I think my exact words were, "You want to get thrown out of an Applebee's?" I think.
Yeah. It sounded about right.
And then met up at Applebee's. You had a few more weeks of school to go, so then we had dinner, hung out, bullshit, and then the next time I saw you was at the Bushnell, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What'd you think of that?
Man, is a little different from most of the stuff that we play with down here in Texas, but it was awesome, man. It was really good. I actually saw a guy that was shooting in that competition, a guy named Justin, that I went to basic training with.
No shit.
Yeah, he's third group SF guy. And then, of course, Todd. I'd been talking to him for quite a while, but him and I had never met face-to-face until that event either. So.
Yeah, so I was like the glue for y'all's butt cheeks to meet, right?
Yeah, I got to meet you and Todd all in the same week.
Yeah, it sounds like a good week. Yeah, they and then you got suckered into RO in the fucking thing.
Yeah, it wasn't. That wasn't the bad part. The bad part was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning so I could drive 2 hours to go be the RO.
Yeah. You were like, I'm gonna go watch Cam shoot, and then you come out there and they're like, hey, you want to be an RO? And you're like, shit. How dare you try to be friendly?
Yeah, right.
All right. Have you met Ashton in person, or have you just is this the first time y'all are ever meeting, or what?
No, not in person. We've just chatted on here a couple times.
Okay, cool. All right, so if the viewers have any questions, we're going to save those till the end. I want to go ahead and say, before we get too far into this whole thing, these motherfuckers right here were giving me an anxiety attack waiting on them to come into this thing. I was like, all right, guys, we're going to meet up in this chat room at 7:30. And George was like, fuck you, staff sergeant. And Ashton was like, I'm taking a nap, fam.
So I like that drama.
Yeah. Ashton, in case y'all don't know, Ashton had a health issue about a week ago. And then this week, he wasn't answering the phone when I called because me and him talk to each other on the phone every day. He wasn't answering the phone when I called. I was texting him. I was messaging him. He wasn't answering. So I thought he was in the hospital or something. I called him. I called his wife. I called his brother-in-law. I was being
a hospital again. Yeah.
I was being a crazy girlfriend.
Yeah. I had a crazy attack of vertigo.
Yeah.
I think it's over now.
Yeah, so if the viewers have any questions, just ask your questions throughout. And if we don't get to them during the topic that we're talking about because it's relevant, then we'll get to it at the end. All right, so George, tell us who you are. Or don't. Is he napping? Son of a dick. I wondered why he looked so peaceful this whole time. All right, let me see if he's messaged me.
Oh, he gone.
He gone. She gone. He back. He's back. We thought you were napping.
No, I wouldn't do that to you.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened last time too. It just kept on like freezing on our guest. So, but And every time it happens, oh, son of a dick, it's doing it again. Mother ass.
Really still.
I know that's that sniper shit. He's just like.
Especially if he's seen the last week's or the last podcast.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, he's fucking with us. Yeah, that's what it is. Oh, balls. He's probably going to come out and come back in and come out and come back in. He needs to have more gooder service, it seems like. So, Ash, tell us about your vertigo thing while we're waiting on him to fix his shit.
Like, Tuesday, I was at work and started feeling kind of dizzy and went outside, and it immediately went into the whole world spinning and throwing up for an hour. Tried to get in the truck to see if I can calm it down and drive home and cut the AC on, and nothing helped. So I put it in park, had to call the wife and take me to urgent care from work. Had to leave the work truck. They did a EKG and blood work and urinalysis and the whole workup. They were like, "We don't know, fam. Sorry." It could be inner ear infection or something with sinuses, but had a couple more that week and he had one since last Thursday. So
sounds like that you got that Rona. What it sounds like.
They said I didn't have any symptoms of the Rona.
Is he frozen a fucking again, or is he just being really still?
Frozen.
Okay, Kent, I'm gonna need you to beat boot me and tell me how to do that, because yeah. So speaking of the Rona, we were talking about like not knowing anybody who actually had it.
Yeah.
I do have a friend who is a confirmed case of the Rona. I think I might have told you about it very briefly over the phone. He sent me a message like he was in the hospital or whatever, and then he was okay. Like, I don't know. Like I'm pretty sure he's back home now, but yeah, he caught the Rona.
Yeah, I mean, one other person on one of my Facebook friends talk about one of their kids having it, I think.
All right, so he's back again.
Is he though?
Oh, is he back? Broke it. Reduce. So Kent's telling me that if I reduce the video quality.
Yeah, I seen that. I'm waiting.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out how in the fuck to do that. Why is it?
Jordan Spradley had a friend as well in Fed prison who got it, but it was very little symptoms. He said, "Stand by. He's sending you some stuff."
Okay, dope. Well, anyway, I mean, I guess we can sort of talk about what was you already said, your whole vertigo thing or whatever, and whatnot. Yeah, like what causes that and shit?
It's a lot of stuff can cause it, from just a regular inner ear infection to some type of infection that causes swelling in the inner ear, to the liquid in your inner ear canals to be off, to crystals of some sort dislodging, to sinuses, to all kind of shit, tumors. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to follow up with my primary, but and an ear, nose, and throat. But yeah, now I've just been on pins and needles every time I get lightheaded for a second. If I'm busting ass, I'm like, oh God, it's back.
Okay. All right. So Kent just sent me a message about like what he what needs to be done to make his video work. So let me send this to George so that George can come back. What? See this right here? This is why every single time I'm like, hey, we need to start doing these things at 7:30. And then people will be like, nah, fam, we good. Are you alive this time?
I'm here, dude.
Hey, so you need to drop your video quality from 1080 to 720. And if it's at 720, you need to drop it down to 4 or whatever if it kicks you out again. Like it's probably doing right now, it looks like. I hope he got the message. Oh, God. Man, every time. So snitches. What are the people saying in the comments right now? Worst podcast ever.
No, just Jordan talking more about his guy. He said he did a lot of taking prisoners to the hospital. He got the Rona, but it was mild symptoms. And that's it. Oh, I wish we could. How can we screen share the pictures of my rifle?
Oh, yeah.
That's the only thing I'm doing this whole podcast is still looking at them.
Yeah, I'm trying to. So talk about that for a minute while I work with George.
Yeah. So Title II Manufacturing, Chris Magnet. He said he'd Cerakote my rifle. I've been wanting a paint job for a while, something with like a dark orange, gray, and black. But I'm not artistic or creative. I mean, I had an idea of what it could be, and Chris was like, "I got you. I'll paint it. What do you want?" I said, "I want you to have creative freedom. Here's the colors." He said, "All right." Took it from the last match at TRM, and he's been teasing me for a while today, but he finally sent me pictures, and holy shit, it's beyond what I could have imagined. Which, what I imagined was a bunch of dick camo, because he was picking at me about that. But
yeah, dick camo would be dope.
Holy hell!
Just dick camo for days. So George, did you adjust your thing to 7 whatever?
I did.
All right, maybe this will work now because you haven't froze yet and you were freezing immediately. Did you tell everyone in your house to turn their fucking Wi-Fi off?
Oh, you damn right I did.
Yeah, you're like, turn off your damn Wi-Fi.
Kids, wife, everybody.
It was fun. Like every time you came back on, you looked more and more pissed off. It was like a progression of like pissed off face. I was like, the next one he's gonna start fucking sprouting horns and shit.
Right.
All right. So I was asking you, who are you? That was the next talking point. Fuck.
Well, I'm George Gubler, current team sergeant for ODA 9134. I am the owner, operator of 903 Tactical Arms Company here in beautiful East Texas. And that's pretty much me.
Nice. Kept it short and sweet. I like it. All right. The important question. I already know your answer because you fucking chimed in on the comments last week and the week before. But
look at the background. Anyway. Look at the background first.
My ninja.
All right. Gas or bolt?
Well, like every other person that's been on here, they both have their place. However, bolt guns are king. There's no denying it.
I can deny whatever I want to.
You can. Now I will caveat that by saying, if I only had one firearm, and that was the only one I got, it would be a gas gun.
But that's not the question.
That's not the question.
That is not the question.
Bolt gun is still king. However, if I only got one, it would be a gas gun.
All right. Fine. All right. So we've added a couple of other talking points in. I don't know if I sent these to you or whatever, but these are like we had talked about on other podcast things that we wanted to start discussing with our guests, and you get to be our guinea pig. So congrats.
Sweet. Bring it on.
All right. So what is your favorite rifle chambering?
Favorite rifle chambering. I've had this discussion several times with people and had to explain why. But I grew up on mule deer hunting and elk hunting and a lot of long range style hunting. And the king for me when I was growing up was always 300 Win Mag. And to this day, it is still 300 Win Mag. Don't get me wrong. I have a plethora of wonderful calibers for their specific purpose, but I always go back to 300 Win Mag as my favorite.
That was my second one I started long range with. I was on 30-06 to start with, and then
Oh, yeah.
straight to 300.
This is one of my babies right here, 300 Win Mag.
Is that the one from Facebook that you had posted last week?
No, that gun's yeah. I was shooting it last week. Yeah.
Okay.
I just got tired of feeding powder to the damn cartridges.
Oh my God, I know. How many grains does that case hold? I've got some 300 Win Mag cases. Like, so this where I do this podcast from is my reloading bench. You just can't see any of my reloading stuff. So I've got a bunch of 300 Win Mag cases up there for my 300 Win Mag. But yes,
So,
I'm a fan.
Yeah, this gun, the load that I use in it is 68.5 grains.
God, that's all the powder all the time.
All the powder all the time. It is pretty friendly when I'm shooting my 224 with 27 grains.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's one of the guinea pig questions. The other one is dial or hold.
There's a purpose for both. I hold. I've always held, and I always will hold until I run out of reticle. Then I'm going to dial it up to whatever I need to.
Okay,
Now,
so
I understand for like F-class shooting or bench rest, yeah, dialing's the way to go. But for the style shooting I do, I hold every time.
yeah, that's kind of what I was saying is because last week somebody asked, or last podcast, somebody asked if about dial or hold, and I'd said that I'll hold for as much reticle as I have, and if I run out of reticle, then I'll dial until I run out of dial, and then sometimes I'm doing a combination of dial and hold.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And generally for me, if I'm going past 10 mils, I'll just dial 10 mils and just hold the remainder.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So those are the guinea pig, the 3 questions that we asked now. All right. What is your long range experience?
So again, I grew up doing long range hunting. I mean, the first deer I killed, I was 12 years old. I killed it at 487 yards. So that's really where it started. And then I progressively just kind of fell into it. I enjoyed shooting long range. My dad did a lot of long range shooting. So I kind of got into that. And then once I joined the military, of course, being a natural shooter, they kind of progressed me that direction. So then I went to sniper school and did that for a little while. And that's really as far as long range shooting goes, my experience.
So did you go like the regular B4 infantry sniper school and then go to CivSec? Well, actually, it would have been SOTIC back whenever you went, right?
No, it was actually, they changed it to SFSC.
Yeah, CivSec.
Yeah, CivSec. So SOTIC was prior to when I went. I did a lot of I guess it'd be more of just long range interdiction stuff without actually being a qualified sniper, because I did have a lot of knowledge in the subject prior to going to school. Anyhow,
are you telling me that the Army actually put the right person in the job?
Well, in SF, we tend to do that. We throw the Army way out the window a little bit and just kind of go with what makes sense.
Yeah, all that.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
Sounds really unconventional of them.
Well, that's what we do, unconventional warfare. Yep.
All right. So your long range experience is long range hunting, and then you did it as a hobby and smoking Hadjis. That's your long range experience, yeah?
Yep, pretty much. Never really shot any long range competition. Nothing that was sanctioned events. Anyhow, we did some local stuff. Nothing crazy. But I never did any long range sanctioned events.
Yeah, you actually whenever you came out to the Bushnell, like I was super stoked to see you. You came out on a hard stage, like whenever you found me. So just so the viewers know, whenever George found me, I was about to shoot a stage where there was 10-inch diamonds that I was shooting at that were like 650, actually 615 and then 650 yards. And George was standing behind me taking pictures, and all he could hear was me go, like lasing targets and shit, go, fuck, that's a lot of wind. There was like 25, 30 mile an hour full value crosswinds, and it was like over a valley that I was shooting. And I shot my first shot, and they were like, impact! And then I shot my second, and it was an impact. And then I shot my third, and I got another impact. And he was like, God damn.
And what was your wind call?
Whatever felt right. It was like it was
Yeah.
like
Left
it was like
edge.
No,
it was
no,
like
you had a term for it.
left edge. Yeah, I was a fucking whole lot of wind. It was I think I was holding 4.5 mils or something like that.
Yeah, you had a term for it. You said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna."
Oh yeah, I said fuck it, I'm just gonna send it. I said that while I was behind the gun. I was like, I don't know what my wind call is, and that was actually before I shot the second target. So the first target was 615 yards, and I'm shooting a 5.56, which blows people's goddamn minds. I was shooting a 5.56. It had like a 25, 30 mile an hour full value crosswind. The first target, I lased it at 615 and didn't think I'd hit it. Got a first, second, and third round impact, and then adjusted up to the next target. The next target was like, I said, I don't know how far away it is. I'm just going to send it. Whatever. Fuck it. And then I sent it and got another first round impact on a 650. I did my 650 hold and ended up getting impacts on that one. I think I missed the second or the third, but I hit it twice. And then we timed out after that. So I was like, damn. But yeah, he got to see that. And then you got to see me shoot a stage that's more my style, which was the truck stage. That's where you were ROing, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so he was RO in the stage that was like basically you get in a Tahoe, you get like rushed down, and then like as soon as the doors open, the timer starts. You and your partner get out. The primary shooter goes to the front of the car. The secondary shooter is at the rear of the vehicle, and you have to find your targets and engage them. They were all like less than 200 yards away, right? Like I don't remember, but they were all.
The furthest one was right at 300.
Yeah, they were all close, and basically you were standing behind me, and I get down. It was like plow, 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 and I hit all my targets. And you were like, "Fuck, that was fast."
Well, compared to some of the other shooters, it was.
Is that the one the ROs were shooting blanks beside you as well?
Yeah,
They were making noise. Yeah.
Yeah, they were trying
I
to.
I missed that match. I've seen a bunch of videos, but
they were trying to distract the shooters and shit.
Yeah, there was rounds flying, casings hitting you as you're trying to shoot, and it was difficult to see some of the targets, especially in the afternoon time because of where the sun was, and of course the targets weren't being repainted in between iterations, so they're kind of just turning gray.
Yeah,
it made it a little difficult to find them.
Yeah, what sucked was how fucking cold it was. It was like, what was it, 19 degrees the first and second day in the morning. It was so cold. There was snow on the ground.
Yeah, it was cold.
Yeah, and then but then midday I was in like shorts and a t-shirt. And I was like, whew! Well, I'd rolled my pants up and I was wearing a t-shirt. Yeah, it was pretty exciting. I enjoyed that match. That was a fun one. Are you drinking right now? Oh wait, never mind. You don't drink. I forgot.
Drinking water, buddy.
Yeah, Ash, what are you drinking?
Actually, rum and mango juice now.
What the fuck?
Ran out of Dr. Pepper because I took a nap.
Fucking bolt gun people. You bolt gun folk.
Well, the question is, what are you drinking? Now, let's be honest. What is it?
I'm drinking rum and Dr. Pepper, like a 50-50 ratio.
Exactly
yeah, come on now.
The same shit I always drink, rum and Dr. Pepper.
But you got to try this mango juice, fam.
Yeah.
You know you got a Cosmopolitan in that cup.
You don't know me. You don't know my life.
Mango tangos.
Oh, shit. You know what I didn't do? I did not post this on Face page, what the link is to the podcast. I should probably
have invited us in earlier so we had more time to do that kind of stuff.
While you were annealing all that brass, you could have been actually doing some work.
Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. Fucking tell you guys to be in the chat room at what was it, 7:30? I was like, be in the chat room at 7:30, and you guys are like, Roger, we're on it. And then 7:30 rolls around. I'm sending you guys the link. All right, they'll be here any minute. I keep looking over my shoulder to see if you guys are dipping in or not while I'm annealing brass. I annealed 300 pieces of brass waiting on you guys. 300 pieces of brass.
You're welcome.
Hey, man, I had customers to take care of, so.
Man, fuck them kids.
I had stuff as well.
You were napping. You were napping. I had stuff to take care of. What, your fucking pillow? Jesus. Anyway, was Salma Hayek in your dreams or something? Like what? Did you like be honest? Did you forget that we had a podcast tonight?
No.
Yes, you did, you piece of shit. I knew it. All right. So George, what are some matches that you host, are affiliated with, that you attend, anything like that?
So I don't host any matches. I do attend some of the matches that my son shoots. He shoots Steel Challenge. He does the Rimfire optic pistol events. That's really fun to do. I tend to join in, shoot a little bit of open class and some production class, but it's mainly because I'm there to support him. And of course, that's always good for business, being out there with the 903 name, being at local matches. Again, not sanctioned events; they're just local matches.
I've found that, like, with businesses and stuff like that, whether they're local businesses or if they're, big businesses, the best way that they get their name out there is by, like, supporting local matches. So that's good that you do that, like local matches and even some of the bigger ones.
Oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely. I've gotten several opportunities to sponsor larger events. We haven't done that yet, but we will be moving that way soon.
Yeah,
have you shot any of the Guardian Gary Larson's matches?
No.
Or no? Okay.
No, like I said, the only matches I've really shot are just Steel Challenge kind of stuff, mostly pistol, and then of course all the wonderful stuff that we do in the military. We have plenty of competitions in there too. So
yeah, the funny story about military competitions. So whenever I was in Kuwait, back whenever I was in Arif John, they were having some like 2-gun type competitions in Buring. And like they were posting about it on the Camp Arif John page. They were like, "Oh, this is so much fun. If there are any competitive shooters that want to come shoot these, come out." And I started messaging them, and my unit just like would not let me go. My unit was just like, "No." But my unit hated me. And then I went to Afghanistan, and like while I was in Afghanistan, they started hosting matches, 2-gun matches in Bagram. And right before I was supposed to shoot a match in Bagram, they sent me to Kandahar. So then I was in Kandahar, like, oh, they've got, in Kandahar in the back west corner, they've got a 100-yard range or 100-meter range, and I was like, I could do something out here. I could do like some 3-gun matches or something out here, and then I ended up going back to Bagram. This was, there was a bunch of like intermittent travel as well. Whenever I went back to Bagram, they were gonna have a 2-gun match like the Tuesday after I flew back to Kuwait, and I was so pissed off because I was like, y'all couldn't have one match, one competition where I got to shoot it, because at the time that was whenever I was like, right before I went on the deployment, was whenever I was like always top 5 in all of our local matches and shit like that, and even some of the bigger matches, I was like staying, top 5 in 3-gun matches and in the US PSA matches I was shooting. So I was pissed I didn't get to shoot one of these matches. But it'd be like that sometimes. What kind of matches do the 18th Special Forces group hold?
We have a pretty good variety. Of course, we'd have the Governor's 20 and all that good stuff. We can be involved in, or any of the USASOC matches we can be involved in. But generally, we have it's just smaller matches within the group. We might have a few stragglers coming from other places to join us as well. Most of the stuff is either 3-gun / PRS style events, but again, none of them are sanctioned. They're just kind of, hey, whatever these guys throw together, this is how we're going to run it. So it's not to any strict guidelines. It's kind of however the guys that are setting up the match want to set it up.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So those are sometimes the best, sometimes the worst matches that you shoot.
Yeah, it really depends on who's setting it up. I mean, we had one when I was in 7th group down in Florida that was phenomenal. We invited the local law enforcement out there as well. So we had sheriff's department, police. We had some local guys from the Precision Tactical. Ward Lewis and his guys were out there, his shooting team. And then, of course, all the competitors that we had in 7th group. Now, the 7th group guys, we were required to shoot our service firearms, both the rifles and pistols, where everybody else is coming out with, Gucci Glocks and 1911s, whatever they had, STIs. and we were shooting factory Beretta 92s, and it's funny to say we took first, second, and third place.
It's the Indian, not the arrow. I tell people that all the time.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to remind soldiers, commanders, first sergeants, whatever, that there is an Army regulation for soldiers to go shoot competitions, and that is Army Regulation 350-66. And that regulation allows those either funding, and no, it does not come out of MWR funds. So go ahead and get that out of your head. Like I keep having company commanders contact me and say, well, that's MWR funds. No, it's not. It's its own pile of money. It's completely separate, and it's training funds. It's not MWR. So you can send your soldiers to competitions and have them shoot. Issue that you run into sometimes is your 855A1 ammunition is not steel friendly, and if you shoot, precision rifle matches and shit like that, they don't want you banging up their steel with 855A1. If you're in a sniper section or whatever, and you're shooting the 118 LR, then you're a Gucci bandana. You can run that all day long if you feel like running your M110 in a competition and stuff like that. So, yeah, company commanders and first sergeants, send your soldiers to competitions. I learned more about, I thought that I was a good shooter until I started competing, and then I was very quickly, and I have that mentality that I always want to be the best. So I trained and trained and trained and trained until and shot matches every single week until I got where I am now.
Is that why you friended me?
You what?
Is that why you became friends with me?
No, I became friends with you because I didn't like you at first. And then
you're the enemy. I'm gonna train.
Yeah, no, I didn't like your attitude. That was why me and you did butted heads at first. Like you're I don't care. We're talking about it again. Your attitude was just shitty whenever you were in front of people, and I was trying to crack.
It wasn't shitty.
It was
me trying to learn how to talk to a crowd.
Yeah, well, I know that now, but then you just seemed like a dickhead because you'd be in front of everybody and you'd be reading the safety brief and shit like that, and then I'd crack a joke and then you'd fucking look over at me.
Yeah, that's because I had a fear of public speaking, and I'm trying to get through that, and you interrupt like an asshole. I'm like, I fucking hate him.
True. And then what happens? We become best friends, and then it gets to a point where I start to worry when you don't answer the fucking phone. We're gonna talk about this off the show. We're talking about
we will.
All right, so anyway, man, we got a little bit sidetracked. All right, George, give us some tips and tricks that you might that you found work for you as far as being a long range shooter. Not equipment, just like a tip or a trick that you want to throw out there.
I'd say the biggest tip or trick that I could throw out to anybody is whatever you're doing on a regular basis, continue doing it. It's a game of consistency, right? Yep. So if you dip a can a day and you drink 3 beers at night, and you're going to have a competition coming up, and you're going to be shooting 2 or 3 days, or let's say you go to sniper school, for example, where you're going through sniper school, don't change your routine. Do the exact same thing that you do every single day, because just by changing it, whether you think it's for the good or for the bad, it's definitely going to throw off everything you're doing. So consistency is the name of the game.
That's interesting that you say that. I like that. So this is I chew tobacco. I chew Red Man. Who do you know that doesn't dip or whatever? So I chew Red Man, and whenever I'm at work or driving or playing video games or whatever the fuck I'm doing, I always chew on the right side. But if I'm shooting, I switch it over to the left side. And the reason why is just because whenever I cheek my rifle, that way I'm getting a positive cheek weld or whatever, but I don't stop.
Yeah.
So there's actually YouTube videos and shit like that I've had to edit out where I've cheeked a rifle and been spitting while I was doing it, because that's the that I did, that I've done all through the Army. It's the whole, through my whole military career. Whenever I go to competitions, I'm chewing. It's just a thing. Chris Kyle talked about, having a dip in his mouth or whatever on his movie and in the book and stuff like that. And yeah, I could definitely say that's true. the whole like holding your foot flat thing for me, like that's not really that important because the way I look at it is I've shot from so many unstable positions that like even if I've got my feet up instead of flat, or if I've got like, something that's a little bit funky or whatever, I'm still going to hit my target just because I shoot from so many unstable positions. Like I don't think that your body position matters as much as people think, or your breathing really. Like I found that at full exhale, like I can see my heartbeat inside of the scope for the longer shots and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So I'll breathe in most of the way, let out about 3/4, and sometimes I'll be exhaling while I pull the trigger. So
And that goes back into different disciplines of shooting. Like PRS is great for that because they have so many different positions, and most of them are not the most comfortable positions to be shooting at. Just again, stay with as consistent as you can, but I mean, sometimes you're going to have to get in that awkward position and take a shot that you're not going to be comfortable with.
Yeah, I had told I think it was Todd whenever I was talking about getting issued the Barrett M107. I was issued the Barrett, and one of the situations that I found myself in, what we had, because we were lacking severely, what we had on hand was like those little folding chairs, like the collapsible folding chairs that you take to a fucking barbecue and shit. And I set up 2 of those folding chairs and I rested the 50 on it. And I sat on a milk crate and I did an Overwatch mission like that.
Did you actually get to shoot off that?
No, hell no. That would have sucked. That would have sucked dick, but I would have done it.
Yeah.
That would have sucked. I think the worse than that, though, was using a collapsible chair and a piece of 550 cord that we had suspended in the room. So like it went across the room, and I had it under the butt of the rifle. So it was supporting the weight of the rear, and the front was supported by a collapsible chair, and I was sitting in the same milk crate. And that probably would have been a million times worse.
Yeah.
Would have fucking ripped the chair down and like pulled the pins out of the ceiling that we had it suspended by. It would have been bad. It would have been a bad time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, one of the pictures that I used for this podcast was a picture of you in Afghanistan, right?
Yeah, that was Afghanistan, 2012.
Let's talk about that picture. You told me that story on our first date. I think the viewers want to hear it.
Yeah, it was funny because we had actually driven to another base, and that was probably at 8, 9 o'clock at night. Stopped off for a couple hours, hung out with the team that was at that base, and then we left on foot. And we probably went about 5 miles to where we were going, and we were up on top of a hilltop, and the valley down below us was kind of a U shape and went around the hill that we were on. And on the infill, it was real loose rock and a lot of real steep ups and downs on the way in. I had rolled my ankle real bad, so I was a little bit slower getting in. But once I got there, I was good. And so we had the ANA and the ALP both, the Afghan National Army and the local police. They were actually sweeping the valley as we were pulling Overwatch, essentially from the hilltop, but we were right on top, so we were skylighted the entire time. There was 40 of us up there. We had it was interesting.
You say a bunch of targets? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we were a bunch of targets. So with that being said, we only had one 18 Delta SF medic with us, and so we stuck him in the rocks in the middle and told him, "Don't move. He can't participate. You're the only medic here, so you're going to stay safe."
You're the water boy.
Yeah. Well, so with that being said, it was just at sunrise when that picture was taken. I was actually facing to the northeast, and I had a couple of goat herders down there, and the local populace as well. And we were actually in a firefight being shot at from the north, the south, and the west at that particular time. And my medic kept saying, "Hey George, turn around, let me get a picture. Hey George," and I kept telling him, "No, I'm busy. I got shit to do.
I'm putting in work.
I'm working, man." And finally he just took the picture, and that picture was taken with a flip phone, one of the Afghan flip phones.
Oh, a Roshan?
Yeah. So it was actually the best picture out of the entire deployment. It was great.
Yeah, it is a fucking dope ass picture. That's why I wanted to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I built this rifle to kind of mimic the one that I had over there.
Yeah, that one had a can on it, right?
Yeah. That was a Mark 13. It had a Schmittenbender on it, and it was suppressed as well.
Yeah, that's a 300 Win Mag.
Yep. 300 Win Mag. So that firefight lasted 8 hours, which is interesting. We finally decided we were tired of it. Called in the helicopters. They came in. Of course, the Afghans that were shooting at us just kind of blended in with the rest of the populace after they dropped their guns. And then, of course, we walked all the way back to base where we got in another firefight on the way back. And while we were gone, the base came under attack and they got in a firefight. That was an interesting day.
Fucking Hodgies.
Yeah, that was an interesting day.
I was actually telling. I guess Ashton disappeared. I was telling somebody earlier today about back whenever I used to do when I was doing an escort detail in Afghanistan and like we were transporting people around and shit like that. We had a dude who we were transporting to. We were transporting him to a CIA like base. So we were transporting him so that he could, snitch on his leader or whatever. And on the way there, like, one or two things happened in between, but we were in like a Tata, riding up there and shit. And I kept telling people, I'm like, always pay attention to what the Hajis are doing. Like, always watch them, always watch them. And like a few, weeks later, months later, whatever, we were training up the new guys. We were doing our left seat, right seat. We were training up to babysit the Hajis and do, whatever their thing was going to be. And one of the soldiers was tying her shoe. And while she was tying her shoe, she had her back completely turned to the Hajis that were loading up a truck. Oh shit! Did you freeze? Or are you napping?
No, I'm good.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about you. I meant George. Oh no, George is gone. Wow, you're dark. There we go. Hey, welcome back. And let's bring George back in. Somebody turn on their Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we get we had Hajis loading up trucks and shit, and whenever they strap shit down, like you have to use a pipe. Like it's the same thing here in the States. You use a pipe to ratchet shit down. It's like your cheater bar. And this female soldier who was learning, she was doing our left seat. She was bent down tying her shoe, and she had her back turned to the Haji, and he completely walked like away from the truck towards her with this fucking pipe in his hand. And I was trying to teach the soldier next to me, like, hey, always pay attention to what the Hajis are doing. Don't take your eyes off them. Watch them like a fucking hawk. And while I'm saying that, he was like, "Oh, Sart." And I look over and I see this fucking dude walking over to her with a pipe in his hand. And I was like, all right. So M4 comes up, all safe, hey, what are you doing? Makes a beeline back to his truck, gets back to his truck. He's like, oh, just strapping shit down. That's not what he said. He's, Hajis don't talk like that. He started strapping the shit down or whatever. I walk over to that. Damn it. He's out again. So I walked back over to that soldier, after that whole event happened, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, you turned your back to the Hajis. You don't do that." And I grabbed her M4. Like you're not supposed to touch another soldier's uniform and shit. I grabbed her M4, and I realized that her M4 was strapped down so tight to her body that she couldn't use it. And I was like, "Okay." And then I did a chamber check. I pulled her charging handle back and realized she didn't have a round in the chamber. And I was like, motherfuck. So I charged her weapon for her while it was still attached to her. And then I pulled out my knife and I cut her sling off and just was like, you have to carry this for the rest of the day. So, yeah, always be watching the Hajis. They're devious. They're scandalous. Sorry, that I probably just went off on a tangerine there for a minute. I think George disappeared completely. He's going to go in and out. He's about to find out that one of his kids turned on their Wi-Fi or some shit and be upset.
Kids are playing the Fortnite.
Oh, my kids are playing Fortnite. Oh, yeah. Your kids cool?
Huh?
Are your kids?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. Man,
Yeah,
he
we're
look
doing all right.
looking good, George. Welcome
Dude,
back.
the internet. I'm telling you.
It's the interwebs. All
Dude,
right.
I'm gonna crush whoever keeps on turning on their damn Wi-Fi around here.
Yeah, just like make your kids stay in the front lane and rest until this podcast is over. Ah, he's gone again.
Oh,
He needs to come back in at like 3:20. Like
yeah, we actually just went without internet for a week.
what?
Yeah, something
Who does
wrong on it's AT&T. Something wrong on their side. And we tried to troubleshoot it and then schedule for a technician to come out, and it took about a week to get it back.
Well, that sounds
Kids,
like
kids went crazy. Even we went crazy because all their schooling is online now because schools are out.
welcome back, George.
Yeah, it's like the 5th time you've told me that.
Yeah.
Tell your
Hey,
kids to get off the Fortnite.
Oh yeah, no, but nobody's on.
Yeah, we've got 8 viewers right now, and then like later on we'll have some more. Like after it airs, we'll have more viewers. So my buddy Matt, he's I think he's 3rd group. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's out of Florida. 3rd group's Fort Bragg. Who's 7th group? Is he
Yeah.
7th?
Florida.
My buddy Matt just sent me a message and told me that his sister is infantry, by the way. His sister is swearing into the 82nd this week, so that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
I was basically.
What's your buddy Matt's name?
What's up?
Your buddy Matt. What's his last name?
Rush.
Matt Rush. Sounds familiar.
He goes by his Facebook is Matt Crush. But,
Okay. Yeah, I did 10 years with 7th group, so
yeah, he's good people. I like him. But yeah, his sister joined. Huh?
Where's he live?
Florida.
Oh, Florida.
What the fuck? I literally
I know a Matthew Rush. That's what I was asking.
What is he in 7th group?
I mean, he was in the military. I didn't know what group.
It's not the same. Shut up, Ashton. Go take a nap again, and and hurt my heart.
It's talk more. Shut up. What do you want?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. This is a real dom sub relationship me and you got going. You know, I have literally had people message me and go, "Is he really your best friend?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You're so mean to him. You're a bully to him." And I'm like,
"That's just our relationship."
Yeah, I was like, if you didn't listen to like the podcast,
Oh, no.
on the podcast,
I'm so nice to you all the time.
Shut up. Shut your dick sucker. Shut it right now. On the podcast, he has to be a professional because he knows people from work are going to see it. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. It's daddy. So, yeah, so he has to fucking, be a professional and shit because people from work see it. For me, I'm just in the Army. I don't even have a professional job. So, you see this beard? Does this look like the beard of somebody who's staying in past October? Maybe. We'll see.
You know you will.
Yeah, actually, they're talking about giving me what I want. It looks like, it's not a guarantee. It looks like I'll be taking over as senior sniper of the 120th. Effective date July 1st.
See, if you had your SF tab, I could invite you on my upcoming little fun toy.
I mean, you still could. You could still use me. Just source me.
Yeah.
Africa.
Yep.
I'm just saying, you can source. You can source whatever you want. All right, so we went over tips and tricks. What is your favorite piece of equipment for long-range shooting?
Kestrel 5700 Elite with a ballistic link. Hands down. Love my Kestrel, man. It is great.
So I was actually talking to some people recently about Kestrels. So, I had talked about in some of the former podcasts that I'm not I don't use Kestrels. I don't really use I'll use like standard ballistic calculators that have like 4 degrees of freedom or 3 degrees
with gas in the range you're shooting. You don't need it.
Okay. Pretty much, if I'm shooting less than 1,000 yards away, like I don't see a use for a Kestrel. Like after you get beyond that, yeah, Kestrels are fucking dope. But like before you get that far, I just like the equations are a lot simpler. But once you get out past 1,000, or bullet reaches transonic, or whenever like Coriolis really starts to take effect and shit like that, and your angle of fire is a way bigger deal, then yeah, Kestrels are the shit. But up until that point, I'm like, I'll use Strelok. But you do some ELR too, right?
A little bit here and there, just for fun. I'll go out to a mile. I'll go out to 2,400. Generally, don't go too much further than that. There ain't a whole lot of places to shoot here in East Texas that far. So
there ain't a whole lot of places anywhere that you can shoot that far.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Nevada, so if you can see it, I mean, you can have fun trying to shoot it.
Yeah. There's some places that I've been where I was like, damn, this would be a dope ass gun range. Actually, you know what is a big gun range? Have you been to Providence, Afghanistan?
Yeah,
it's like Camp Providence. That's a big fucking gun range. Like whenever I went there, they like, they had like cars at like 4, 5, 6, 7, and 800 yards, like outside of the wire and shit like that, and you can shoot at them to get your dope and everything like that. I fucking loved it out there.
Let's be honest. All of Afghanistan is a giant shooting range.
Well, you know what? For conventional, it's not.
Oh, come on now. It is for us.
I have to ask permission for every trigger pull. All right. So as far as equipment, you're saying that the Kestrel 5700.
Yeah, Kestrel, and then of course the Tremor 3 reticle, man, is really got a lot of great information if you're familiar with it. I'm intimately familiar with it. I love it. Don't get me wrong, I use several other reticles as well, but that's another great piece of equipment. Regardless of what scope you have it in, it's a great piece of equipment to have that.
Yeah. How do you feel about LPVOs?
I like them, and I know we're actually going to them. We've got both Night Force and SIG coming in pretty soon. They've already fielded them. They haven't trickled down to my team yet, but they will be coming in. I love them. I think they're great.
So I haven't. Are you guys grabbing the 1 to 8 attackers?
Yeah, so we'll have the 1 to 8s and the 1 to 6s. So we'll have both.
Yeah, so that 1 to 8 attacker, that's pretty dope. I've actually got to look through one of those just recently, and Ashton did too. Yeah. And it's pretty dope for what it's designed for. Like if you're making shots that are a hundo or 2 hundo or whatever. It's got a really big center dot aiming point. Like your reticle's a big ass dot, and I'm not a fan of that. I like fine aiming points, but for the application and intent of use, smoking bad dudes or whatever, I could see its application being useful. Especially with you guys getting illuminated, right?
I'm not sure about the illumination. I know one of the two is illuminated. I don't know if both of them are.
It's probably the attacker then. Yeah, like with it, like dead ass, I put it on 1 power, turned on the illumination, and it was just like looking at a red dot. I would say, like, comparing it to the gold standard, the Vortex Razor, you have more scope, shadowing whatever you're trying to look at or whatever. But like I don't know what Vortex did that was so much different to where it looks like there's almost no scope that surrounds it or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty close. I really like that scope for its application. Personally, I would probably zero that at 300. Like that would be like my truing distance for that. I would zero the attacker at 300 because you have a much finer aiming point than you do for your like 100 or 200. It's like a big ass dot. I think it's like seriously like a 1 MOA dot in the center. Yeah. It's huge.
It works good. I've always run an EOTech. I mean, hell, even out of my 10.3 inch barreled M4 with an EOTech, I've hit 1,200 meter targets, which is, it goes subsonic by then. I got it. It's probably a chance thing, but it was repeatable. So
yeah,
it's definitely possible. I've always liked the EOTech in general, even though there's some people don't care for it. It's got a bad rap. I got it. I've always run one. And up until they forced us into the LCANs, and now they're forcing us into the LVPOs or LPVOs. I still like it, man. We still have them. We still use them.
We had there was some JTACs or something like that. It was like the Air Force dudes, and and they were running L cans, and I was asking him how he felt about it, and he was like, "I fucking hate this thing," and I was like, "Really?"
Yeah, it's big, it's heavy. You're looking through a tube the whole time. I never cared for it.
I've never been issued an L can, so like whenever he was like, "Yeah, this thing fucking sucks," I was like, "Okay." You know, like we've had plenty of like JTACs and PJs and shit like that in Kandahar and in Bagram and stuff like that. So like, you know, you get to meet all the rotating dudes. And yeah, whenever I saw one, I was like, "Oh, is that good?" And he's like, "Nope." And I was like, "All right." You know,
No, it's also stupid heavy. So you know me, I like to lighten things up if I can.
yeah, I think Tom's actually watching right now too. So
hey, Tom,
he'll probably have something to say about that. All right, so all right, are there any new developments in your life? And that can be anything. You can, you know, have you got a new car? Have you you got a promotion at work?
Yeah,
anything.
I got a promotion. All right.
Yeah, at your business that you own.
Man, I've got tons of stuff constantly happening in my world. It's actually kind of hard to keep up with all the new stuff that's going on. I'm not going to disclose exactly what's going on with 903, but something really, really big is going to happen here soon. We'll put it that way. Of course, we got a deployment coming up, so that'll be interesting. That'll be fun. And then recently, actually March 26th, we launched our own line of carbon fiber forged series AR-15s. So that's pretty much a wrap up of the bigger events in my world right now.
That's what's up. And then like I reckon 903 is just like is pretty much constantly staying busy because you're posting shit for 903 all the time. Like you guys are pushing out guns like a madman.
Well, not only that, but keep in mind all the stuff that I am posting. That's probably 1 out of 3 guns that we're actually doing.
I figured.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff is just basics or stuff that we've done a million times, you know, RMR cuts, barrel threading, whatever. So I don't always post that stuff. And I also do, you know, 903 does work for other companies around here as well. So we kind of have an agreement that we're not going to post it because they're going to be posting it on theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Ash, what's new in your world?
Other than some vertigo that we talked about earlier, which I hope is done and gone. My sponsor, Title 2, has knocked it out the park with a paint job that I'll be able to post.
Show it to the viewers.
I wish we had screen share, but hold on.
We kind of do. We kind of don't.
Screen share.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Oh, that's dope.
Nice.
He knocked it out the park. That's like a copper, orange, gray, and black. I can't wait to see it in person.
Can you just say orange one more time? Just
orange.
Can you say it slower?
Is there 3 syllables in that?
No.
Are you from North Carolina, sir?
There's at least 2 cups of rum in that pronunciation.
Yeah, what mixed with mango juice though, so I don't know. I'm gonna call you about that later.
You did wake me up from a nap.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about you right now. You and your fucking naps. All right, so what's new in my world? So yesterday, First Sergeant Hicks, Brian Hicks, he died. He had a heart attack. I deployed with him whenever I first got put onto the deployment I went on in 2017, 2018. He was supposed to be my first line leader. It ended up getting changed to where I ended up getting put in the FSC instead of HHC, so they plucked me out of his unit. But just like a super, like just a good-hearted dude. Like, you know, like he was a big, you know, like a big dude, like a big muscular dude. But I mean, like his heart was just so much bigger. You know, just an awesome guy. He died yesterday. Last week, my dog Daisy, who I've had since I think 2000 and when did I get her? I've got her dates. Anyway. My dog died last week. I've had her for 9.5 years. I've got her ashes right there, and
Yeah, I hated to hear that.
yeah, it was shitty. I started doing some training with a pellet gun instead of a like a 22 or anything like that. I started doing a little bit of training with it because the rounds are already subsonic and shit, and so I was like practicing unconventional positions and stuff because I can do that in my backyard. I've been playing
Yeah, which
around.
I want to do too, because
What's up?
I said which I want to look into as well, because I can't shoot 22s in my backyard.
Yeah,
So
it's got a like the scope. The biggest downfall for it is the inconsistency of the scope. Like the scope will not hold zero, and that it's just annoying. Like every time I pull the gun up and start shooting it, like I have to re-zero every time I shoot it. So I've actually got a steel target, and then next to the steel target, I've got a paper target so that I can like re-zero every time I shoot it. It's super
put
annoying.
another scope on it. You got so many scopes.
Yeah, but the mount that it uses, like it uses one of those like clamp mounts instead of like a 1913 or what fucking everything else uses anymore. I've been playing around with some suppressors and some believe it or not, some 300 blackout. I've never been, I've always told people that 300 blackout is a trendy cartridge because it is. I still say it's a boy band cartridge. It's if you're shooting subs out of it, you're matching basically 45 ACP a little bit better. And if you're shooting supers out of it, you're matching 7.62 by 39. So you've either got an AK or you've got a 45 or a 45 pistol. And I've been shooting 300 blackout. I've got a 300 blackout bolt gun with a 16-inch barrel, a Ruger American, and that thing is quiet if you actually shoot subs out of it. Sometimes because of the velocity, it'll the velocity increase because of the longer barrel. It'll turn those subs into supers, and then what's the point? A buddy of mine, Wayne, actually sent me some of his hand loads from Nebraska. I think that's where he lives. He sent me some of his loads and let me try those out. I haven't made a YouTube video about them yet, and I think I've only fired 2 of them so far, and they're like 245 grainers or something. 6mm Cheetah, my rifle cartridge. I should have the prototype in my hands this weekend for my rifle cartridge. So I was actually talking about annealing brass before the show. I was annealing brass so that I can make the brass for 6mm Cheetah. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's it for new developments and stuff like that. There was a couple of things that me and you needed to go over though, right, Ashton?
Sure. What was that?
Motherfucker, really? Okay, so I had messaged you about talking points or whatever. Okay.
Oh
so,
yeah. TRM.
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me what the hell happened at the TRM match. Because in my YouTube video I said we got a match DQ. Ashton was my partner and we shot the match. Here's what happened. Anytime that I have ever shot a multi-gun match, a match where you shoot rifles, pistols, shotguns, whatever, where you shoot more than one type of gun, whenever you ground one of those guns and then you pick up another gun and transition to a new location, other shooters go and clear that weapon.
Other shooters and ROs, yeah.
Yeah, they clear that weapon. So whenever we were given the command, unload and show clear, I unloaded and showed cleared my pistol in the area we were. We walk over to our rifles and they say, all right, guys, hurry up, grab your rifles and get off the stage, so that the next shooters could rotate through. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, somebody's already cleared this, because that's the way it's worked at every single one of those matches I've ever shot. I pick up the gun, pointed it at the ground, straight down, turned around, and started walking off the stage. I make it, almost completely back to like the holding area, and somebody goes, "You've got a magazine in your gun." And I look down and go, "Oh shit, I do." So then the RO walks up and he goes, unload and show clear. So still facing in the same direction. At the RO's guidance, I take the magazine out, put it in my pocket, pull back the charging handle. The round goes into oblivion. He sees that it's clear. I send it back forward, and I continue what I'm doing. I walk back over to where my bags are, and I set everything down. And then they walk up to us later on and tell us that that was a stage DQ. Now,
Us?
tells me that it was a stage DQ. Now, what I did was wrong. I broke the 180. That is a rule that is put in place for safety reasons. I broke the 180. I've told people that since it happened. I did do that. That is a thing that I did. But the rumors that went around were basically that I flagged Ashton was one of them. One of them was that I flagged the people on the line. One of them was that I flagged the RO. There was rumors all over the place about it. That is not what happened. The gun was pointed down at the ground. Everyone who was there, actually on the squad, would tell you that that's what happened. People who weren't there said, something else happened or whatever. Is what I did wrong? Yes, I broke the 180. I did the wrong thing. Is what I did reckless or unsafe? I don't like to say that. Irresponsible? No. The gun was pointed at the ground. The gun was pointed in a safe direction. I didn't flag anybody or anything like that. But I did break the 180, so I was wrong. I didn't flag anybody like the rumors were. Like the rumor was I flagged a bunch of people or some shit like that. And those rumors came from people that weren't on our squad. So anyway, so that's clear now as far as the whole, what actually happened. Ashton, you want to go on about what else happened with that?
What else?
No? Okay.
Nah. I mean, it ended up being a match DQ, which in USPSA 3-gun PRS would have been a match DQ immediately. There was some stuff in between that, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Us as a team was done for the day eventually.
Yeah, we shot 3 more stages and then we got match DQ'd. But I mean, it just be like that sometimes, I guess. I mean, like we don't hold any. Me and Ashton, we hold no ill will towards the ROs, towards the match director, towards anyone that was there. Any of the shooters. We, it was just a thing that happened. But people think that this is just this huge deal, and it's really not. To me, I've got people coming in and leaving my life every single day. So, something as minor as, getting DQ'd from a match, it's not that big of a deal to me.
No, the 3-gun and USPSA matches I've ran, the guys that got DQ'd the most were the top tier that were pushing it to the bounds of what they can get away with, to where they could, something will catch them, they'll get DQ'd. I don't see it as something bad, something to learn from, and I should have been a better partner and been watching each other. So I missed all of it. I mean, I didn't know about it until 10 minutes after the stage was over. It was just a stage DQ. I had no clue.
Yeah, then later on it got upgraded to a match DQ. But we did find out, like a couple days later, whenever the scores were posted, if we wouldn't have gotten stage DQ'd or match DQ'd, we would have been tied for first place. And if Ashton would have got to keep his points and we only lost my points, we would have been second place overall for the match. And if we, even with the stage DQ incorporated, if we would have lost all 10 points for that stage, we would have been fourth place overall, even with a stage DQ, had we not gotten a match DQ. So
you were killing it.
Yeah, we were doing
260 hit hard.
That 260 hit hard, fam. He shot a spinner with that 260, and it just it went halfway around, and then I shot it at the bottom with the Grendel, and it spun back, and then whenever it came back around, he hit it one more time. I was like, first words out of your mouth was, that 260 hit hard. Yeah, Chris actually shot it with his 308 and smacked the shit out of it. I was like, man, for a stage like this, I just wish I had a 300 Win Mag or something like that.
Yeah.
just hit that fucking spinner with it one time. But anyway, so that was one of those things that got blown way out of proportion. It's really not that big of a deal to me or Ashton. Yeah, safety's important and stuff like that. I don't like to say safe firearms and handling. I don't like to say that. I learned that from Gil Narvez of Fortitude Consulting. I like to say responsible firearms handling, like he does, just because whenever you incorporate a firearm into something, it's automatically, unsafe. There's an opportunity for more danger whenever you do that. So whenever I kicked my rifle off the stage, it was pointed straight down at the ground. It wasn't pointed at anybody or anything like that. So, like I said, yes, I broke the 180. Yes, I was wrong for breaking the 180. I broke a rule, a safety thing, whatever. But I was not unsafe about it. So that was what I wanted to talk about. George, are you still alive or are you napping? He's sleeping. Be quiet.
For the last 5 minutes.
He's like, man, this story's boring as shit. Yep, there he goes. He'll be right back. It's fine. He'll be back.
He'll still need to ask him about the same question.
Yeah. About what?
What we were just talking about.
All right, go ahead, George. I know.
Anything new in his life? New
Do
developments.
We asked him about new development. This was something that was completely separate, sort of that. People have been asking me and you personally about the whole situation at the last TRM match, and like I said, we have no ill will towards any of the ROs. Like, I don't think that they made calls maliciously or anything like that.
No.
I don't think it was anything like that. And Richard is the match director. He was just doing his match director thing. So I've been a match director. Ashton's been a match director. We know the stress that's involved with that and stuff like that. Is it shitty that we got DQ'd? Yeah, but was he wrong for DQing us? No, I don't think he was wrong for DQing us. So anyway, all right. So let's talk about our sponsors. Go ahead, George, if you're not frozen. Nailed it. Hey, he back in a different window. Oh, we have you and Frozen. Should I delete that one or just leave him here?
Leave it. It's just there now.
Just leave him here to hang out with us. He gone. I mean, I can bring him back anytime. Oh, he back. Oh shit, it's not showing though. I'm all kick him from the studio. Oh, kick guest. Okay, good. Damn, froze again. It's right out of my head. Mother H. Oh. All right. Well, while he's beating his kids for getting on the damn Wi-Fi, you want to talk about your sponsors, Ashton?
Sponsors? No, just one.
You heard me.
Title II Manufacturing. Chris Magnet. I'm going to show it again because I've still been staring at it the whole time. I cannot wait to see this in person.
He painted your mags too.
Yes.
The good part is every time that I go down, I get time to do dry fire drills.
I'm about it. You do you knock out 10 reps of dry fire and then come back in. You're like, hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah, I've actually got one of my old race guns that I sold.
And
you sold it, huh? Boy. All right, let me I'm trying to work through this. So your sponsor, Title II Manufacturing.
Out of Florida, Chris Magnet. I'm gonna talk to him after this, see if I can start posting some pictures.
He already posted them.
Oh. Dope.
Yeah, he already posted them on IG and Facebook.
I hope he's got all 3 of my magazines because the pictures he sent me has 2.
I know. I noticed that too. I keep on seeing 2 mags, and I'm like,
I had 3.
Yeah. Where's my third mag, dog? He lost it. He yeeted that thing off into the fucking woods.
Oh, he found he tore it all the way down. He found a pin broke in the bolt. You seen that?
Yeah, he sent that picture. It was like, oh look, this shit's broke, because he was talking about how much he doesn't like Accuracy International stocks. Yeah. So all right. So now you've gone over your sponsors. George, while you're here, go over your sponsors quick.
All of my sponsors. That would be me and my wife, pretty much.
You're sponsored by me, so it's like a picture of a fucking cougar, and you had like fake Newtons over your windshield. You're like, this windshield is dangerous and inconvenient, but I do love Fig Newtons.
That's right. I'm sponsored by Uncle Sam every once in a while.
Yeah, there's that. Uncle Sugar brings me some bullets sometimes.
That's it. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go over my long list of sponsors now. So Title II Manufacturing, as you guys know, they made the Cameron Hayes rifle, which is going to be the host gun for the 6mm Cheetah and stuff like that. Which, like I said, I will have the 6mm Cheetah prototypes in my hand this weekend. And then what else? Aerodynamics, they made this the 6mm comp match that I've got behind me. They've been sponsoring me since the beginning. Bullet Consulting Group, they made me this awesome cup right here, and also they did a Glock 19 slide for me, and I just got the trigger in the mail for it today, but I didn't have time to put it in because of the whole podcast thing, and I was annealing brass for the 6 Cheetah and all that other stuff.
Yeah, we were waiting on you to get on the podcast.
I'm fucking done with you. So like I try to have like a plan and then a backup plan for that plan. So like for the 6mm Cheetah, I went ahead and ordered a couple of sets of dies so that I could have like brass to fire form through this gun. And I ordered one set off of one website and another set of dies off another. And they both said that they were going to be here on Wednesday and then Thursday. So Wednesday rolls around, I get my package, and it's the wrong shit. I had dies for a 429 429 Desert Eagle, some shit I've never even fucking heard of. 429 Desert Eagle dies, and I was like, well, that sucks. Good thing I had a backup plan. I get an email today saying that my shit's not coming in the mail today, and I was like, that's why we have PACE. We have your primary, your alternate, your contingency, and your emergency plan. So now I annealed all this brass so that I can make a 6mm Cheetah fire formable brass, and now I don't have a way to run it. So it'll get done this weekend, though. I don't care. I'm gonna do it this weekend. Anyway. Bullet Consulting Group, they made me that cup. They made me the Glock 19 slide that I've got the trigger for and stuff like that. Control Solutions Muzzle Brakes, Todd Resource Management, sponsor my YouTube channel, and they host the Shaytac Sniper Series. Green Mountain Defense, he's the one who told us to change your video quality so that your videos would work. I'm also supposed to go teach a class out there in PA with him. The Sling and Lead Live podcast, that's TJ Ramsey. He makes knives and shit, but he also does the podcast, and he's got a lead sling and ginger. 903 Tactical. So my buddy George out of Texas owns this company. It's 903 Tactical. They do gun work and stuff. It's mediocre at best.
That guy.
Yeah.
He sucks, that's for sure.
He does phenomenal gun work, phenomenal gun painting, like all the shit that I've seen. I share a lot of his stuff. It's dope. He's the guy on the show, in case you guys weren't sure.
One of the best backdrops I've seen as well.
This guy.
Right?
I figured I definitely had to get, the bolt guns and the gas guns to please everybody, I even threw a couple pistols in here for dry fires when my internet isn't working.
Whenever, actually, we just assumed that you were just like going and beating your kids or something. We were just like, all right, I told y'all to get off the damn Wi-Fi. And you're just like taking your belt
Get off that ticky talk.
Yeah, y'all quit playing Fortnite, goddammit. So anyway, SiteRight. So SiteRight is my buddy Chris's company, and he's like selling scopes and shit, and like he's selling them at really good prices and stuff, and he's doing it on his own. He's like kind of doing his own thing. He kind of pushed away from the company that he worked for, that he still works for and stuff, but it's an interesting situation anyway. So I wanted to throw them a shout out. Resurgence PPG, Fortitude Consulting. I talked about them a little bit earlier. Amic Guns, Phoenix Strategies, the dudes that do the Snipers Unknown. Canebrake Consulting. I always talk about Mike Lewis. You know, he saw a deficiency in the Army and he actually did something about it. Palmetto State Armory. They sent me a 300 7.5-inch upper for me to run suppressed and do a review on. And they've, I've run a lot of their stuff. You know, people talk shit about PSA, but you know, maybe they just don't know how to run them. I don't know. Criterion barrels. Criterion sent me their, they expedited my order and stuff like that so that I would have my cheetah barrels in time to get everything done. So like this weekend, I'm going to be fire forming brass. And next weekend, I'm going to be doing load development, like on the actual cheetah fire formed brass instead of shooting the fire forming loads. And then the weekend after that, we're supposed to be in Alabama doing an event. So it's like we're busy. And then the weekend after that, we're shooting TRM. And then the weekend after that, you're shooting Guardian. And then I got to go to AT. We're busy. And we're going to Florida. Oh, my God. Just all busy.
Yeah.
Just so we're busy.
Work is going to hate all of that.
Yeah, you're going to be busy for like 6 weeks in a row.
Plus I was out like all last week because of the vertigo.
That sounds like a personal problem to me, but whatever.
Mm.
All right. So let's answer some customer these motherfuckers. Let's answer the dudes in the comments questions.
All right.
I hear this. I hear in the background. Who's got it playing in the background?
It's not me. I just heard it. It wasn't me.
I hear my gorgeous, majestic voice. George is over there like, it's not me. It's not fucking me.
Green Mountain wants to know implications of long-range shooting knowledge for civilian defensive shooters. And he kind of expanded on that, wanting to know what long-range shooting skills translate to defensive training for regular Joes. This is a question towards probably you and George.
I wonder if George knows that his mic is muted. There you go.
You'd have to narrow that one down quite a bit.
Yeah.
I asked him to expand. He said, what long-range shooting skills translate to defensive training for us regular Joes?
Okay, so dudes who aren't smoking Hajis in Afghanistan, more specifically, because they're farther away. So I would say that, you know, like whenever you're learning some of the things that work and don't work, like you can figure out what works for your gun better and stuff like that. Like you can set your gun up better for whenever, you know, other stuff happens. You learn things like height over bore, which normally wouldn't be, you know, even a consideration in your mind. George lives in Texas. I can't tell you how many people I know who live in Texas or fuck, you live in South Carolina. I live in North Carolina. You know, we've all got friends who have, you know, 20 and 30 acres of land. What if they have to make a 300-yard shot, a 400-yard shot or something like that, because that's their property line, you know? So then you get to learn about gravity and, you know, how it affects your bullet drop and stuff like that. Getting a proper zero, you know, super important. You learn about danger space. You can learn, you know, like because of your bullet's velocity, you know, how fast your bullet's going and the ballistic coefficient of your bullet, you know that you can increase your danger space for farther targets and stuff like that by changing your zero, you know, instead of doing the 25 meter zero, the 50 meter zero, the 100-meter zero, you know, or yard, whatever. You know, like those are all things that you can pick up. But also, I think what's more important, like one of the things that's always kind of stuck with me is for a little while there, I carried a Kel-Tec P3AT and I carried a North American Arms mini revolver. So I carried two pistols for a little while because like my thought process on those was like, if I have to use these, I'm going to have to use these at bad breath distance. But then situations arose, you know, around the world and across the United States where people were having to make critical shots with their handguns. You know, people were having to do hostage shots or people were having to, shoot some dickhead that was, 25 yards away, 15 yards away, something like that, and moving, and these are all things that, like with distance comes time. That's why I say that the difference between the designated marksman and the sniper are, as a sniper, you have the advantage of time over a designated marksman. A designated marksman has to make fast, accurate shots right now, because by the time the designated marksman's doing his work, he's already being engaged. So those are a few of the things. Like, I know I was kind of all over, but I hit a bunch of different points about how the precision shooting can help your regular guy, and I even incorporated into a pistol side where like, if you had to make a headshot on a motherfucker, or if somebody's farther away than bad breath distance, and you have to shoot them with your pistol, kind of thing. That's where stuff like that would actually come into play, where you really have to bear down on your sights and concentrate on every single thing that you're doing to make sure that you stop that threat. George, you got anything about that?
Yeah, so and I agree with what you're saying on pretty much everything you just said. What a lot of people don't understand is they think that the military has pretty much endless amounts of money and training and all different types of equipment and every manufacturer in the world and et cetera, et cetera. The reality is military shooting, and whether it's pistols, carbines, long range style shooting, whatever it might be, is a very narrow and very small portion of the shooting world out there. There's tons of different disciplines out there. There's tons of different manufacturers that we don't have, different equipment that we don't have, that is out on the civilian market. And I really didn't realize a whole lot of that because I was just so ingrained in mils and meters and the sniper mentality for quite a while, until I opened up 903 Tactical and I started getting customers in here that had tons of different experience for different shooting disciplines and what is applicable to them. So as far as what translates over, it's a very small amount as far as military to defensive training on the civilian side. There is quite a bit, but keep in mind, you're going to start using yards. You're going to start using either a BDC style reticle, or you're going to start using an MOA reticle versus, again, the military is generally stuck in mils and meters.
Yeah, and I mean, mills do open themselves up better to meters, like used for meters, just because it's 1/1000th of any unit of measure is 1 mil. And you were talking about a BDC. People ask me all the time if they should get an MOA scope, a mil scope, or a BDC scope. And actually, Tom, who's in the comments right now, he's Keystone. He made it very clear just a second ago. We were talking about BDCs, and also one of my buddies who's on the AMU was talking about zero distance and stuff like that for BDCs, and how BDCs aren't perfect. BDCs were designed for a specific barrel length. Well, actually, not even that. They were designed for a specific BC of projectile and a specific velocity. That's what BC is for. So, like, if you're using your military issued M4 with 855 A1 ammunition, there's a BDC for that. But then what happens whenever you start shooting Mark 262 out of that gun? The BDC will be close, but it's not right. You're shooting a way higher BC bullet that's moving slower now.
Well, so, not only that, but think about taking that from down here in Texas, we're 300 feet above sea level. Now I'm going to go up to Colorado at 8,000 feet.
Yeah, elevation.
BDC is completely off.
Yeah, so that's why they tell you to true your shit and whatever. Like, anytime you get to a new environment, like whenever you get into Iraq, whenever you get into Afghanistan, whenever you go to all these different countries, you're supposed to re-zero your shit and like reconfirm distance and stuff like that. That's why you do test fires before you go out on missions and stuff. George, I don't know if you guys fucking had this. Before we would do a test fire, we had a target that was 600 meters away that we got to test fire on. So, like, that was our test fire target, just because they were like, we're in Afghanistan, we're at 8,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 15,000 feet, whatever our fucking elevation was where we were. So our test target was 600 meters away.
Yeah, so we pretty much have a we don't have anything that's designated us to, hey, you will shoot at 600 meters or whatever. It's kind of on us to use common sense and figure out what works, where we're at with the mission that we have and the equipment that we have and the personnel we have as well. So, and we're generally pretty good at double checking and making sure that everybody is good on their stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm 100% supportive of the whole test fire thing. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like, you know, I've had Joes do stuff where I'm just like, really, how are you still alive right now? But you know, it just be like that sometimes. I hope we in Green Mountain Defense. That's my buddy Kent Hauer. He's out of PA. What else we got, Ash?
Jordan Spradley for the Sprad Bags has started commenting about a cheetah edition. Do you have and your buckles are in, so he's working on your bag still.
Yeah, so I had
to test yours, and the prototype was dope.
Yeah, I Jordan Spradley made me a bag, a racer type bag to run long range and stuff like that, and I fucking loved it. And I sent him some specs for some things that I think would make it better. Just as you know, in my experience, like you know, some things that could just you know, anything could always be made better. You know, if you're not better in your firing, if you're not better in your fighting position, you're stagnant, and that's how you get killed. So I was telling you know Jordan, I was like, you know, these are some things that you should about it, or some things I would like to see in a bag that I haven't seen yet. And he's actually messaged me and corrected me on some stuff and been like, you know, maybe this would be better. And I'm like, oh yeah, it would be better. So yeah, he's got some good ideas himself. He's actually about to start getting into reloading and stuff like that. He's a good dude. You'll meet him whenever we go to Alabama, or actually you'll meet him when we go to Florida. All right, what's next?
Terry Williams wants to know when shooting uphill or downhill, you got any tricks, tips?
Yeah, so your angle of fire. So if you're shooting at a 45-degree angle, that's going to be 0.7 of your whatever your calculation is. So take whatever your distance is, multiply it by 0.7, and send it. Depending on your distance to target, which I mean, normally unless you're in Afghanistan or in a really mountainous territory, you don't super have to worry about stuff like that. But yeah, if your angle of fire is significant, like a 45-degree angle shot, then you multiply your target distance by 0.7, and that's what your calculation will be as far as your distance. Like that's how much bullet drop. Now, the other environmental factors, you still have to go for the full distance of the shot. So if your target is, say, I'm trying to use the Pythagorean theorem in my head right now, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. If your target's like, say, 800 yards away, and your LRF is telling you it's 800 yards away, but you're shooting at like a 45-degree angle, it'd be like 600 and something yards, I want to say, is what it would spit out as far as 0.7 of that distance. So if you're shooting at like a 600 and something yard target, that's what bullet drop you're going to incorporate. But as far as wind or spin drift or any other parts of the formula that you need to account for, you need to account for the full amount. The only part you don't account for is your bullet drop as far as angle of fire.
So to expand on that, you know, the military, we use a COSIN indicator, which shows us, hey, is it going to be 70, 80% or 0.7, as Cameron was saying. So we use that quite a bit. But what a lot of people don't, I guess they overestimate. They think they're shooting downhill and they're like, oh man, it's going to be 45 degrees. If you actually figure out the actual angle, it's more likely going to be somewhere around 10 to 15 degrees that people are going to say, hey, that's 45 degrees. So, and that's why a lot of people are still not going to hit the target. Getting the actual angle is going to give you a lot better ballistics.
Plus learn your rangefinder. A lot of the rangefinders will calculate that in it, so you can set it to where if you're on any type of angle, it's giving you the actual distance straight out, not your angle, not the distance to target line of sight. It's a it does the formula for you. It'll give you the distance.
Yeah, it's all it is your A square, B square, C square. So like whenever you're shooting at an angle, it's giving you the B square, which is the base of your triangle. Your C square is your hypotenuse. That's the longest distance. That is the full distance to target. Your B square is where gravity is affecting your shot, which is a shorter distance. So, and like George said, unless you have a cosine indicator, which I have a cosine indicator on one of my guns, because almost every precision rifle match that I've ever shot, the targets are close enough to where your angle of fire is really not that big of a deal. Danger space becomes a big deal at that point. So if you got, a bullet that's fast as fuck and you've got a medium high BC, then you don't really have to worry about shit like that, because you're and also target size. Obviously, if you're not shooting 1 MOA targets and shit, like if you're shooting at type targets, like man-sized targets that are 18 inches across at the shoulders and 36 inches from the crotch to the top of the head, angle of fire is not that big of a deal. You aim high center chest, give it 1 mil and send it, and regardless if the target's in between 0 and 450 meters, you're still going to hit it.
Honestly, I use the cosine indicator on my hunting rifles more than anything else. And the reason I say that is because I go out to Nevada where we're shooting mountain goats, or we go out to Idaho where we're shooting in the Sawtooth Mountains. Some of those are some pretty rugged mountains, and you're probably going to take a pretty long shot, especially on something like an elk. Now, granted, you can get close, absolutely, but that's the challenge. You're either going to have a long shot or get your Indian skills on to see how close you can get. If you're going to take that long shot, though, you definitely need to account for angle.
Yeah. I've got a cosine indicator on my 12-inch one of my 12-inch 6.5 Grendels, because the velocity on that gun's like 2200 to 2250, and you're shooting a medium high BC bullet, so you're shooting something in the fives, and so I'm already at a disadvantage as far as velocity. So my danger space is already going to be small. So I've got a cosine indicator on that gun because it makes sense. To have a cosine indicator on this gun, if you're making less than 1,000-yard shot, doesn't make sense, because at 1,000 yards, I'm pretty sure I'm only holding like 5 mils. So it doesn't make sense to have a cosine indicator on a gun like this.
Yep.
All right. What was I hope that answered your question, Terry. That was Terry, right? Terry Williams?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Terry's a good dude. That dude always watches the show. He messages me after show and shit like that. He's good people. All right. What's next?
Tom wants to know how you anneal your brass.
With an annealy's annealer.
Yeah, that's what I commented.
Yeah, I use an annealy's, and I like I said, I did like 300 pieces of brass in like 30 minutes. So it takes no time to do.
Where do you focus the flame, and how many seconds do you leave it in?
It was literally right beside me. So because your objective with an annealer is to soften the parts of the brass that are going to be reformed with the most drastic change, I focus the flame right here because it makes the most sense to me that it be right there, because I'm going to be reforming this brass. I'm going to be changing this neck diameter, and also I'm going to be changing this shoulder angle and the depth. So the neck size. So because I'm changing this right here, I'm pointing the flame as close to right motherfucking here as I can. So that right there, and I'm running it at 50% with a medium heavy flame. So basically, as soon as I see the brass change color, that's whenever I take it off of the flame. Some of the brass that I did earlier. It's way over there. Some of the brass that I did earlier, I annealed it a little bit heavier than some of the other, and that's just because that's going to be my test brass for the 6 Cheetah.
Yeah. When setting mine up, I like to cut the lights off and try to look down the throat.
Yeah,
and try to not over anneal it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I turn the lights off too. Yeah. I never bought any of that annealing compound that you're supposed to put on the neck that changes colors whenever it's like optimal and shit like that. I turn the lights off. I let the flame hit the shoulder and neck where I have the flame at, and I stare at the mouth of the case, and while I'm staring at it, I wait until it just turns red. And whenever it just starts to turn red, that's whenever I want it to drop, and that's where you change your percentage on the annealies for how long it's in the flame.
Yeah.
Or you can adjust how hot your flame is by making your flame bigger or smaller.
Yeah, and I keep all of my old brass that I'm not comfortable with reloading anymore, just for setting up the annealer.
Yeah,
I'll put it in.
I'll trash pieces if I overdo it or underdo it. I'll throw them in the trash. The ones that I'm setting up with, yeah, I do the same. But the Annealy's annealer has definitely been like one of the biggest game changers as far as consistency for like long range shooting reloading for me is getting an annealer. Like once I started annealing brass, it made all the difference in the world. And
do you do it after every firing, or?
I do.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I do it after every firing. And some people are like, well, you can go 4 or 5 firings. 5 firings. I'm doing it after every one, because literally all I'm doing, as far as a metallurgy standpoint, is I'm softening the brass because I'm reforming it. I'm changing things, so I want it to be softer. So like you can overdo it, you can underdo it. That's fine. If I fuck up a piece of brass, I'll throw it in the trash. So.
What about you, George? Do you mess with any of that?
I don't anneal brass because generally I'm only shooting in 2 to 3 times before I swap out brass. I know that like my father, he does a lot of reloading, and he'll get 7, 8 reloads out of his 300 rum. That's his baby, and he anneals every single time that he shoots.
Yeah, I'm trying to get 8 to 10 out of mine. I want to extend it as long as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Brass isn't cheap, especially good brass.
That's for damn sure. Yeah, he's shooting 260 Remington. That shit's expensive. All right, what was all right, next.
Let's see here. George, do you hunt oryx in Texas, and how's the meat? ORYX.
Oryx, yeah. So the saber horned oryx is one of the exotics they do they have quite a bit down here. There's actually a whole bunch of oryx down in El Paso, down off the military base there, the test range for the Marines.
Seen them.
Yeah, you've seen them. Yeah, I've almost hit them with the MRAP a few times.
Same.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, they cross the range every once in a while, and you've got to call ceasefire, because that'd be a bad day if you accidentally smoked one of those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be all about it, I'm sure, but the command wouldn't be happy. Anyway, with that being said, there's tons of exotics down here. I don't generally hunt a lot of the exotics. It's not really my thing. I'm more of into elk and mule deer, your western states, high mountain country kind of stuff. But yeah, absolutely, you can hunt black buck, oryx. I mean, there's a plethora of different exotics down here. Tons of different ranches have them. I got a buddy who's got a bunch of black bucks down here with his whitetail. I've had black buck. I've never had oryx personally.
And gator.
Oh yeah, we got gators, man. So we go gator hunting too.
Yeah, I saw the picture.
Exotic meat then.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. Yeah, as far as the gator goes, that was kind of fun. That was enjoyable. I shot a 9-foot 11-inch gator on 9/11.
Nice.
Yeah, and of course I had to pump up my buddy Fort Scott Munitions. I used their ammo out of my everyday carry 9mm. So that was fun.
Ashton asked you what your favorite exotic meat was, besides this.
Yeah, these are coming from Steven Sutton. So he's
okay. Yeah,
Sutton. I love that guy. He actually called me on my way to work this morning.
There you go. Yeah, as far as exotic, I don't really get into the exotics, like I said, but I would definitely say gator would be one of my favorites. And elk. It's hard to go wrong with elk.
Elk meat's good.
Yeah.
I was telling somebody recently that I didn't like bear meat because it was like I guess maybe I just haven't had it prepared properly, but like I've never had good bear meat. Like anytime I've ever eaten bear, it's always been like really chewy and really greasy and just like it has like a weird. It's always just had a weird taste to it. But then again, I like steaks, So like any kind of meat that I've eaten, like it's always been in steak form because I feel like that's the closest to like the actual like the animal that you're gonna get is eating it in steak form instead of like throwing it in a stew. Now that deer that I shot in Alabama, definitely threw her in some stew and it was delicious.
I think part of that is where it's from too. For instance, mule deer in parts of Colorado versus mule deer out in Nevada, they taste completely different. And I think part of that is mainly the diet. Out in the sagebrush in Nevada, they actually have a little bit of sage flavor to them.
Yeah. So they're seasoning themselves.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
All right. What else you got, Ash?
That's it for now.
No, it's not.
Well, I'm missing it then.
All
You
right.
found one?
Fine.
I got one. Afghan man-sized target or American man-sized target makes a difference. Haha.
You know, kinda. I've met some really tall Hodgies. I've met some really tall Americans. I've met some really short, fat Hodgies. I've met some really short, fat Americans. So, like the go-to for me is 18 inches across for a male and 16 inches across for a female, and then 36 inches from the crotch to the top of the head for a male and 34 inches for a female. That's what's worked for me, and it gets me close enough. And I mean, really, honestly, and truly, if your target's farther away than maybe 600, then you need to use an LRF anyway. Like I don't trust milling past that.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I think your windage call better be a little better with a skinnier person, though. That's for sure.
That's true. We were talking about on one of the former podcasts about the difference in shooting the stick people in Afghanistan versus shooting some people with some substance to their body. Because Todd was talking about shooting some fat ass in Afghanistan at like 1,500 meters or some ridiculous shit like that with a 300 Win Mag. And he said, in the front it looked like you got stung by a bee, but in the back it looked like you got hit by a mortar, but it was a fat shit. And like he was talking about, the bad guys are because they're the ones who got money there, so they're always fatter. Because they're well fed and shit. And then, like if you talk to, I'm not going to name drop him. One of my other buddies, he's killed a lot of skinnies. So he was talking about, 300 Win Mag will just fucking tear them apart. So he prefers the M110 because it just, it drops them, adequately. And you have, faster follow-up shots and stuff like that. But if you shoot them with a 300 Win Mag, it's just ripping. It's like hitting them with a 50, hitting a fat dude with a 50.
Well, that's an interesting concept too, because I get asked all the time what preferred calibers for hunting here in Texas, which kind of translates into hunting humans as well, I guess. But a slower, heavier projectile tends to do a lot better, especially at shorter ranges, than the faster, lighter ones. For example, 6.5 Creedmoor is an absolute terrible cartridge for hunting here in East Texas, but it's a fantastic cartridge if you're out in somewhere like Wyoming hunting antelope, right? 308 would be a lot better choice here, having that slower, heavier bullet. But it would be a terrible choice out there in the windstorms of Wyoming. So,
yeah, it's funny that you say that. TJ Ramsey, the dude who kind of got me started on podcasts, him and Kent, me and them, they're both hunters as well, and we were talking about what we've noticed terminally as far as what happens to the body of animals or people or whatever that we've seen, and I was telling them that depending on my projected target distance will definitely change my loadout for sure, especially for hunting and stuff like that. So whenever I was going hunting in Alabama, they told me that the farthest shot that I would probably have to take would be 400 yards. So I brought my 12-inch Grendel because my starting velocity out of that gun's 2250. So at the muzzle, I'm getting 2250, and I wanted to maintain about 800 foot-pounds of energy on target because I was shooting the 123 grain SSTs. So whenever I shot that female, that doe in Alabama, she was 175 yards away, and her insides were soup. And everybody there was just, they were fuck away. They were like, "Why did this happen?" And I was like, "Well, that's why I chose, this gun was because I wanted to hit it with a slower, heavy, not really heavy, but heavy for that caliber projectile." because I wanted to turn her insides into soup so that she would stop moving. I wanted her to die quickly. Whenever I've tried, shooting the super fast projectiles and stuff like that at closer animals, like using 22 250 or 243 or anything like that on a deer, and if they're super close, you're just like, well, that punched straight through. I shot a deer with a 300 Win Mag at 200 or like 150 yards, like super close. Shot a deer with a 300 Win Mag, and it turned the insides into soup, but it also bloodshot a lot of the meat too. So
my first kill was about 90 yards with 300 Win Mag on a doe.
Yeah.
I was like, that was overkill.
Yeah, I was using I think I was using M or Alpha 191. So I was using military ammo when I shot it, and whenever I did it just had, gallons of energy into like, a small deer. So whenever I punched that deer, like most of the meat was ruined. So I was just like, well, that sucked.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So
that's generally why here in East Texas, I'll use something like a 308 with 180 grain soft point. Or honestly, I know you said it's kind of a odd caliber for you, but 300 blackout works great here out of a tree stand. And the reason I'm saying that is because you're only shooting, 25 to 50. I mean, hell, 100 yards is a really long shot.
Really?
So 300 blackout works fantastic. My daughter dropped her first deer with one. I've dropped several, and it doesn't hurt the meat. That's the best part about it. Is it drops it dead in the tracks, and it doesn't hurt any meat.
Yeah, I've got some 300 blackout loads I plan on running to do some testing with and stuff like that. I'm just to see how those 245s run, because the guy who sent them to me was telling me he was getting 2 MOA out of them, and I was like, damn, that's impressive for a subsonic load and shit like that. So and they're cast bullets. They're coated cast, but they're still cast. So I'm anxious to see how those work out. Oh, sorry, I was gonna check through these. BDC, getting LCAN problem solved. We were already talking about LCAN Sutton. Sutton was my soldier back in the day, and love that guy. He's good people. He's a truck driver now. He's all over the place. He's in Texas. He's in California. He's in Colorado. He moves everywhere. Afghani man does not know 300 orcs. Okay, we already asked that question. So I'm pretty sure that's all the questions now. Now that I double checked, because I didn't trust Ashton and whatnot. So to say my sinister at the end of every podcast quote, any last words, Ashton?
No, I missed comments because I'm still looking at that.
You sure it's because you weren't napping?
No, that was earlier. 4 minutes in, I mean 4 hours in. I'm good.
All right, so basically you're just super, super stoked about your Title II rifle or your Title II painted rifle?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty dope.
See it in person. I don't think the pictures are doing it justice.
Oh, definitely not. Wait till you get that motherfucker in your hands. You're gonna be ecstatic. I'm gonna have to spray your wiener with cold water.
I'm kind of worried none of the pictures were of the right side of the rifle. So
there's just a big dick on the side of it.
Right.
Completely different.
Just a big veiny triumphant bastard on the right side of your gun. You're like, oh,
jokes about dickaflage that I'm not sure yet. But the left side looks dope.
Yeah. Left side looks real good. Right side's dick. All dick. It's all dick.
I'm not going to say I put dicks on any guns, but I've put dicks on some guns.
Yeah, I've got a gun in my living room with a dick on it that the guy who painted it for me was like, oh, I made a dick, and I'm like, yeah, I know, I saw it. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I like to CNC engrave it, so it ain't coming out.
Yeah, he did it with he painted a dick on my gun, and I was like, yep, that's a dick for sure. I didn't notice it at first, but I had to really look at it. He sent me a picture and was like, look right here, and I looked and I was like, yeah, it's a dick. That's a dick for sure. Yeah. So now every time I look at the gun, I'm like, it's got a dick on it. Should have tried that dick. All right, you got any last words, George?
No, that's it, man. And check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Facebook, Instagrams, and YouTubes.
That's it.
All right. Well, as far as this podcast is concerned, this is pretty much donezo. Be watching on my channel for updates on the 6mm cheetah, which will be coming very, very soon. Because, like I said, I'm finally gonna have the prototype in my hands this weekend. Like, this has been years in the making, so I'm just waiting to see what the fuck goes wrong next. There's been I've had a rough couple of months, and so I'm really excited that something's going in a positive direction now. So, oh shit, there's Spanking the Wind podcast. Oh yeah, Sutton called me one morning while I was on my way to work, and he was telling me that he was watching the podcast, and he was like, "We need to start our own version of Spanking the Wind or something like that." And I was like, "Yeah, that might work, Spanking the Wind." But anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for tuning in. And for those of you who waited until later on to watch the podcast, I hate you. You should have watched it while it was live so you could have commented stuff. Sure that the people who only watch my podcast to correct me on stuff later, my trolls, if you will, y'all are gonna have plenty of stuff to say about it, and that's okay. You're allowed to hate me. Anyway, George, we appreciate you being on the show. Been drinking. Ashton, still super stoked about that gat. Thanks for watching, guys.